Hello, I'm Robert T. Smith, host of Support Your Local Podcast. I want to take a moment to remind you to hit that fast forward button. That is, unless you want to hear about something good being done. Anyone who knows me knows that I love bowling. In 2016, I founded the Smith Family Bowling Scholarship Foundation, intended to honor my father's hard work and dedication to community service and award scholarships to youth bowlers throughout the nation. To date, we've awarded well over $15,000 in scholarships. If you are a bowler, know a bowler, have ever seen a bowler, or heard about anyone who has ever seen a video of a bowler, I'd love for you to help promote the SFBSF and its mission. Please go to sfbsf.com and see what we're all about. While you're there, please consider hitting that donate button and helping us make a brighter future for our youth. Again, that's sfbsf.com. Thank you for your time.
I now declare the quick draw competition open.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to the Quick in the Pod, the podcast where we take a look at the 1995 Sam Raimi classic, The Quick and the Dead, one chapter at a time. I'm your host, Robert T. Smith, coming to you from the Support Your Local Podcast Network. We are taking a look today at Chapter 4, Bad Dream. So we start our chapter with a flash of a badge that reads Marshall. I'm sure that will come into play later. And a white flash to a man wearing an old-timey Undertaker getup. And whenever I see this, it looks like he's straight out of a Monty Python sketch. I giggle every time thinking about the Undertaker scene. But we also see a man and a woman walking on a boardwalk, and they're pushing a baby carriage. All of a sudden, Friar Tuck shows up. So if this is not the aforementioned bad dream, I'm not sure what scenario has this group of people in the same place at the same time, but I'm interested. You have my attention, Mr. Raimi. So Friar Tuck shows up, and he's carrying a basket of something. We get a quick cut to horse hooves running, and then another cut to a baby doll sitting on what looks like a porch step next to a basket of apples. So for all of you psychology students out there, your Jungians and your Freudians, I want you to take a look and write a 5-page dissertation. Send it to SUP, your local podcast, SUPP, your local podcast at gmail.com, in telling me what exactly the meaning of all these things in this dream means. We see a all too familiar set of silver spurs walking down the boardwalk, and then a girl is being chased by a faceless man. She looks scared, and I'm telling you folks, the video in the Ring doesn't have anything on this shit. So just the quick cuts and the visuals that we're getting, definitely getting a creepy vibe. Whatever's going on, I don't know if this movie is going to take a sharp right turn into the Evil Dead. I truly don't know. Please keep watching along with us, and we'll all find out. There's more white flashes, and we see the girl continue to run towards the camera. But we see her holding the doll we saw a second ago, and aha. Yep, it's all starting to come together. I'm going to guess that the doll is possessed, and the spirit in it, or the spirit of the little girl, has placed a curse on redemption. That's my theory. That's what we're going to go with. Yes, it's perfect. I've cracked the Raimi code. I've foreseen what's going to happen. Let's see if that all pans out. The girl begins running backwards, and we suddenly see Sharon Stone's face waking up startled. We pull back to see her laying there and a gun barrel pointing at her face. It cuts over, and we see the gun is actually resting on a pair of spurs next to the bed. And that's definitely not proper gun safety. We'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. But yeah, definitely not preferred gun safety. You can set that gun anywhere and have it point in any direction. Why, when you're setting it there, would you have it pointed directly at your bed? I'm just saying. Not to date this movie, or not to date this podcast, but rust did happen, people. So thankfully, Alec Baldwin is not a member of this cast. Next to the gun is a picture of what looks like a 5-year-old. He's dressed like a cowboy, but I wonder if, since we're currently in the Old West, if that means he's just dressed. Technically, everybody's dressed like a cowboy in this time and age, right? Just a thought. Anyways, he has some Chewbacca bandoleros going across his chest on both sides. And he's holding 2 pistols up as if to shoot them in the air, Yosemite Sam style, or like an extra in Support Your Local Sheriff. We pan across and we find Leonardo DiCaprio standing at a store counter outside of the room. And he wishes Stone a good morning, and it cuts back to her looking slightly nauseous. He offers her some breakfast, or a little of what she had last night. So it's implied that maybe the kid's charm, it finally worked on her after copious amounts of whiskey, ? We know that she had copious amounts, and as he tells her that she won the drinking contest, but he won her in poker. Pun intended, ? I wonder if, so here we go. So I wonder if they actually did get down. She tells him that all she remembers is him puking and passing out. So did they both just drunkenly stumble into this place and crash? Or did they smash? Is that a thing? Do the kids talk about crash or smash? I don't know. I'm out of my age group when it comes to that. I'm getting old. Aren't I, Mike? So Sharon Stone gets up, and she's obviously wearing only a very loose undershirt, as well. We just see that she's only wearing that shirt. And this is normally in a movie where you would point out the unfairness of Hollywood and how nudity it's only used to titillate the audience. And hey, 100% true. However, and this doesn't forgive it, so please don't at me, because I truly don't feel like this little flash of nudity does anything for the movie. It is gratuitous. And I'm not getting up on my soapbox. Anybody that knows me knows that, like, I'm not going to be that hypocrite. Excuse me. I am not going to be that hypocrite. But it is gratuitous. And as a red-blooded hetero male, especially at the age I was when this came out, I'm not going to not look. Okay? But it is gratuitous. And what I find interesting is that Sharon Stone, we'll find out, was one of the driving forces of getting this movie made. She is not a producer in name only, as she was the reason behind Leo, Raimi, and Russell Crowe all getting attached to this movie. And this is a movie that's shot after the infamous Basic Instinct scene. Yes, that one. I mean, obviously she got naked a lot in that movie, but there's a pretty infamous one. And with that scene, she claims she didn't know exactly how much they were going to see. It wasn't until she sat and watched the movie on a big screen with an audience and an opening premiere that she saw her vag along with everybody else in that theater. So keep that in mind, because I'm sure that if she didn't want to do this boob flash, she wouldn't have to. I think she has enough power and enough stroke to not make that happen. Uh, you know, so unlike it being a bit of a necessity to the movie, like Basic Instinct, you know, that movie had to have sex in it. That's the literal premise of the movie. This truly is a meaningless boob flash. And I think at this time, looking back, like Sharon Stone was just a very, and still is, a very sexual actress. She has nude scenes in quite a few of her roles leading up to this. So we mentioned Basic Instinct, but also Total Recall, Sliver, The Specialist. She's kind of known for this. And so maybe she felt that she had to do it personally to appease her fans. I feel sorry for her if that's the reason. Like she's not doing it completely of her own, fruition. But I don't know. It's a shame if that's what she felt, because she truly is a great actress. I mean, look at Casino. If there was another movie that she probably could have gotten naked and it would have fit in the story, that's one of them. And she's not naked in it at all. She is a prostitute, showgirl, hustler, and even has a sex scene in that movie, but doesn't have any nudity. Coincidentally, that's where she got her nomination for Academy Award. Make that of what you will. But that is a movie that, again, if she was going to continue this streak, it would have been in there, and it's not. All we get in that instead is the unfortunate troll on her back grunting. Sorry, Joe Pesci, but that scene still scars me to this day, and it will never leave your brain space for as long as you live. But anyways, there's another quick flash of nudity and a deleted sex scene with spoilers. We'll get into that when we get there. That if you're into that kind of thing, you can find online, or it's in the European cut of this film. But this one, I have to say, it's just a gratuitous boob flash, for better or for worse. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. And onto the bed box, she complains about how hard his bed is, and he tells her that if he doesn't sleep on it, people will steal it. Curious, obviously. She lifts the sheet and she finds that it's barrels of dynamite. Perhaps Chekhov's dynamite? Question mark. We'll see. Stay tuned. He asks her who she's going to challenge, and when she replies Herod, he tells her that that's a bad idea, and that he's about the only one that can beat him, and that he's not in any rush to do that. And when she asks him why, we get the bombshell or at least to her, that he's his father. Herod being the kid's father, that is. Pronouns, pal. She immediately gets doubly nauseous as we fade out. And as someone who we're assuming has some sort of issue with Herod, just what we've kind of gathered so far, you have to wonder what the thoughts are of this poor lady at the moment, because Herod's potential grandchildren may very be rolling down her leg as this is happening. We fade down into the clock tower, and one of Herod's guards is walking along the platform around it. It pans further down to the fountain in the street, and there are some chickens eating their breakfast, and Court is lying in the dirt around them. He gets up, and we begin to follow a gentleman in a sombrero, just trying to cross the street, but he keeps approaching all the various gunfighters, and he's having to avert his eye contact and move in a different direction. He's bouncing around kind of like a pinball. It's a nice touch, and not only because it introduces some of the characters again, but we get to see the feeling of unease with everyone waiting to be challenged. So he first bumps into Virgil Sparks, the pride of Texas. And then again, across the street, he tries to walk to the saloon, and he finds Scars standing there all ape-like. And we see Russell Crowe's face again, and he's taken in the scene as Eugene walks past looking at him and loading his pistol. He crisscrosses the scene with Ace Hanlon, who has his head cocked to the side as if he sees Court as a curiosity, kind of like a puppy dog. Or Mike Myers, but a lot less menacing, because let's face it, he still looks like he does. And you have to put yourself in these guys' shoes. They know nothing about Court, but they did see a flash of what I guess would be considered quick hands, catching that water glass, and the lack of fear for Herod. And I think that probably has the most weight to it, because I don't think any of these others possess that. A hand comes on screen behind Russell Crowe's ear, and he strikes a match across the stubble on Crowe's face. Nice little Western touch. You know, I was pleased to find when I looked it up years ago, not even for a movie, but just out of curiosity, that you could actually do that with matches back then. They're called friction matches. So they were really, really susceptible to friction. That's how you lit them. But your corduroy pants, a wood plank, anything that you rubbed them across, you could essentially get these to strike for. So, but something you see in Westerns quite often, usually as an insult. It pans over and we see Foy lighting a cigar, and Foy backhands him and challenges Crowe to the contest. He introduces Court to his 5 boys, all of them around 10, 4 of them looking to be about the same age and height, so maybe Foy's got quadruplets, at least twins. Anyways, Mrs. Foy has been very busy the past several years. He tells Court that they don't get to church much, and the boys run up and start beating Court with boards and fists, the little shits. And in something straight out of a Ninja Turtles movie, we see a hand come up and start yanking the boys off of screen by the ear, and the 4th one just gets straight up bitch slapped. Just psh. And we see that it's the lady, and she's wearing some cool black octagonal sunglasses. I think they're super cool. I'd like to get a pair myself. She asks Court if he slept well, which he replies, not as good as you. So apparently it's already around town and known that she's doing the walk of shame from the kid's place. She's rightfully offended and reminds him that she's the reason that he's still alive. Fair. Court, ungratefully, he reminds her that he might have even gone to heaven if she'd had let him die then. Now he's stuck. So Herod's watching all this unfold from his window, and he comes out to his porch, and he has his guards in tow, obviously. And Sharon Stone asks Court if he wants to fight back, which of course he does, but killing is wrong, right? And he's a preacher, so we hear. We end our scene with a great almost split shot of Stone's face taking up the right side of the frame, and Herod is entering the saloon behind her on the left. And it's almost like, what's it called? Like a split diopter shot. So like from a 70s show and movies where it's a split screen and there's 2 things going on at once. It's usually like a car chase or something like that. Like one person's running, you see a car driving on the other side of the screen. But it's all in the same shot. It's just framed perfectly. So again, props to the cinematographer on this one. She tells Court that some people deserve to die, and I wonder who she's talking about. No, wait. It's Herod. Let's face it. She's talking about Herod. That's why he's in the shot. It's a great shot, Sam. Really, really. But we end our chapter with that. So what's going to happen? Will Foy topple Court? Will the lady discuss what exactly it is that she has a heart on for Herod? Find out all this and more when we return. Until then, if you haven't already, please check us out on our social media. We are Support Your Local Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, if you want to just chat, hit us up at SUPP, SUPP, yourlocalpodcast@gmail.com. rate and review us on your favorite podcatcher. That's what helps us the most. It's absolutely free. It just takes a couple minutes of your time, but it does huge things for the podcast, getting us moved up in the rankings. I hope by the end of this movie to be the number one podcast in Zanzibar that covers the Quick and the Dead Sam Raimi version, one chapter at a time from Arizona. If I can capture that category, I foresee bigger and better things for this podcast. I'm not even looking global at this point. I want to capture the Zanzibar market. So if you can make that happen, if you can help me out by rating and reviewing us, leaving us a 5-star review, that'd be greatly appreciated. But folks, as always, I love talking with you. We will be back very, very, very soon. But until then, always remember, support your local podcast.